Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Sweet and Sour Soccer. Once again, another championship predictions video. If you are new to the channel, do not worry. I do not usually sound like this, but my voice has sadly decided to leave me. But guys, help me out. Please do hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new here and enjoy this video as well. And I promise next time my voice will be back for normal for the next championship predictions. But anyway, let's waste no more time. Let's jump straight into these predictions. And we start off with probably one of the biggest games of the weekend. We've got Luton Town taking on Nottingham Forest. And unfortunately for Luton Town, some key defensive injuries have probably happened at the wrong time for them. Nottingham Forest, on the other hand, absolutely flying now. 5 wins on the bounce. Can they do it? Can they catch Bournemouth? I mean, Bournemouth haven't got an easy game coming up, and if Forest can get this away win at Luton, which won't be easy with Luton Town's home record, but it would be absolutely massive for them. And to be honest, I am going to back Nottingham Forest with this one. I think it'll be a close fixture, but I think it'll be a 3-1 victory for Forest in the end. We come on to West Bromwich Albion now taking on Blackpool, and this has ended up a bit of a mid-table clash. Going back probably about 6-7 games ago, maybe a bit longer for West Brom now. They did really feel there's a bit of a chance of getting into those playoffs. Sadly, now for both teams, it looks like it has now passed. Hopefully, this is a game where both teams go for it. We see some good football, maybe a few goals. I'm gonna back the home team. I do think it'll be a narrow victory, though. I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to West Bromwich Albion on this one. We come on to Hull taking on Cardiff, and Hull are an interesting team, aren't they? When you look at where they are in the table, you can clearly see the issue has been goals scored. But to be fair to them, for a side that low down in the Championship, of course, just above Reading, sitting in 20th position, they haven't conceded many either. They come against the Cardiff team. Both teams don't really have much to play for. And once again, a bit like that West Brom, Blackpool fixture I've just mentioned, I really hope both teams do go for this one. I'm going to go for a share of the points here. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in this one. I think it'll be a good, entertaining game, but I reckon the points will be shared. Well, talking about Cardiff's rivals, of course, Swansea, they are on some fine form. If Swansea win the game in hand, they end up just 5 points off the playoffs with 5 to play. Of course, if they won against Barnsley, that might even shorten some more. That, of course, if they then went and won the game in hand, all fairness. Swansea fans, let me know, have you given up hope, or is there a small glimmer of hope you suddenly sneak these playoffs with some fine form, which you are in, 3 on the bounce, 1. Barnsley, what has happened to you guys? I really did feel at one point you were going to be the ones to make it into that, safety, really, and overtake Reading. Reading have found a bit of form. You guys have completely dropped off, and it looks a really hard task. Coming up against the Swansea team full of confidence, unfortunately, I can't give Barnsley any points here. Swans, I am going to back you guys. 2-0 win for Swansea City in this one. Birmingham coming on to Coventry now. Birmingham taking on Coventry now is the next fixture to talk about. And guys, this is an interesting one, of course, because not too long ago, Coventry's home stadium was, of course, St Andrews, and it was a bit of an interesting time. Of course, thankfully, Coventry are back where they now belong. And, of course, Birmingham have their ground, which probably not too happy about. I've seen, lots of videos of the ground falling apart, of course, protests against the owners. Of course, that won't matter when it comes to this Midlands clash coming up this Friday, isn't it? On Good Friday. I think it's going to be an interesting game. I really do. I am going to give it to the away team. I think the away team will get the win here. And I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory to Coventry on a happy return to St Andrews. Coming on now to Sheffield United taking on Reading. I've mentioned Reading a little bit a couple of games ago. They've found themselves from form. The gap between them and the bottom 3 now really looking very convincing. It does appear that Reading will once again play in the Championship next season unless some sort of miracle happens. Sheffield United, they of course will not be wanting to play in the Championship next season. Currently sitting in the playoffs, but you would sort of argue that maybe they need to pick up their form just a little bit. I'm kind of looking at a couple of teams around that playoff area and just thinking you guys really need a bit of an uplift. You need to do what Forest are doing. You need to get a couple of clear wins, cement your place in that playoff position. I think Sheffield United will be really hopeful of doing that, though, against Reading at the weekend. And I do think it'll be a happy start to the Easter holidays for Sheffield United. I think at home they will get a 2-0 win against Reading. We come on now to Preston taking on Millwall, and my hands are tied on this one because Millwall fans, I made a joke on my last video. Whatever I predict with you guys, you go and do the opposite. I predicted a 3-0 Barnsley win, I believe. Well, I predicted the Barnsley win just to basically, because I said you guys will then end up going and winning it 3-0, and you did, of course. So what do I do here? Because anything I did say with Millwall, the opposite happens. Do I once again give it to the home team? Do I give it to Preston based on that? Maybe I should, just so I don't get a lot of angry Millwall fans at me. So I'm going to go for a Preston 1-0 home win. Millwall fans, that basically means that you guys have won 1-0. Watch this space. Coming on to Stoke, taking on Bristol City now. Not really too much to play for, is there, in this one? I mean, it's going to be one of those games, of course, both teams, well, Bristol especially like to ship a goal. This one has it has goals on it. It really does. I think there'll be a lot of goals here. I think I'm going to say the points will be shared. A 2-2 draw in this one. Hopefully it's a really entertaining game for the fans. Coming towards the end of the season, not too much to play on it, is it? It's one of those fixtures. Talking about fixtures that, well, I just spoke about a fixture that doesn't have much to play on. This one certainly does. Bournemouth taking on Middlesbrough, and both teams will be desperate for the win. Bournemouth, what has happened to you guys at one point a few games ago? Fulham was starting to concede a few points. It was even possible that you might have caught Fulham up for the Championship. Now, looking over your shoulder at Nottingham Forest, of course, still to play Nottingham Forest, the gap just 6 points. You could really do with a win, but you're taking on a Middlesbrough team which are no pushover. I'm sure if you're a Bournemouth fan, you'll be hoping that you can get the better of the home advantage. But Middlesbrough will be hungry. They need to get, obviously, into the playoffs, solidify their place in the playoffs. And there's a lot of competition for those playoff spots. I think this is going to be a very good game. It's going to be one to watch. I think the points are shared. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I don't know what's telling me that, but I think I am going to go for a 1-1 draw on that one. And maybe that will once again open up the space for Nottingham Forest to catch up Bournemouth. Coming on to now Peterborough United coming up against Blackburn Rovers. And sadly for Peterborough, it does look like it's too late for them to obviously catch Reading. Once again, mention their fine form. Blackburn will be hoping, can they get themselves back into the playoffs? This is certainly a game that if they're going to do it, Blackburn Rovers need to win. And I think they will. I think they will get the win. I'm going to go for the away win. And I am going to say that it'll be a 3-0 victory. I know Blackburn haven't been scoring a lot of goals since the second half of the season, but I think they'll put on a bit of a show. There we go. Blackburn 3, Peterborough United 0. Coming on now to Huddersfield Town versus QPR. And if you're a Huddersfield Town fan, absolutely delighted after that performance against, of course, Luton Town earlier on in this week. And I mean, look, Huddersfield are looking really good for those playoff spots now. QPR, another one, isn't it, really? Spent a long time in those playoff positions. What has happened there? I'm going to back the home team in this one. I am. I fancy Huddersfield to continue their good form, continue to solidify their playoff spots. It's going to be a much harder game than maybe some would think. But I am going to back Huddersfield. I think it'll be a narrow 2-1 victory against QPR. And we move on to the last game. Again, another contender, Derby County. I think if you're a Derby fan now, you may be starting to accept that you're going down. But thankfully, you've got the owner. And the weird thing about this fixture is that neither of these clubs will probably be in the Championship next season. That's pretty much nailed on now, obviously for very different reasons. League One awaits for Derby, but thankfully so does an owner. Fulham, once again, heading to the Premier League. Hopefully, I reckon their fans will be focusing now. Can they do a better job of it next time round, next season? Can they, stay up? I think that's the important thing. You don't want to become a Norwich, for example, who keep on going up, coming back down, and Fulham are getting close to being in that category. They need to survive next season in the Premier League. But when it comes to this Championship prediction, I think Fulham are going to have too much for Derby. I know Derby are at home, and look, Derby have much better home form, but I think they will still have too much. So I'm going to go Fulham 3. Derby, you will score though. 3-1 is my final prediction. Guys, thank you for watching again. Once again, if you made it all the way through, I apologise for my voice. It has still gone, but hopefully it will be back for my next prediction video. You guys are playing in the Championship once again, Monday and Tuesday. So look out on Saturday for that one. Hopefully you have a great start to your bank holiday weekends. Guys, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next video. Goodbye.